And we're live. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this Saturday for this rescheduled writers workshop. My name is Tamara. This is my channel where I talk about books and writing. And Writers Workshop is where we talk about nonfiction writing books so we can kill this writing game. And today we are minus a few of our normal guests. It apparently last week was bad for me and this week was bad for everyone else. Thank goodness this guy was here to hang out with me. Otherwise, you guys would have to look at my ugly mug yet again. So, Sky, please introduce yourself to the people in case they don't know you yet.
All right. Hello, my name is Sky. I write paranormal romance under the name SD Haggis. I don't currently have anything published. Aiming that direction, but not there yet. So, yeah.
And so we read How to Write a Sizzling Synopsis by Brian Cohen. And my original idea was to kind of look over a couple of our synopses and discuss them. But since it's just the two of us, we were hoping that we would chat with you guys a little bit. So let us know in the comments, have you read the Sizzling Synopsis book, or are you working on a synopsis right now? And let's have a bit more of an interactive chat this Saturday. What I had been thinking about was sharing mine on the screen, but I did not have a chance to type it up. I was just writing on it for the past few weeks, and it's still not that great because I am bad at doing synopsis, and that's one of the reasons why I was really excited about doing this book. Hey, Dana.
I didn't realize how bad I was at synopsises until I read this book. Like, I can do the closer I got to reading the end of the book, and one of the when he finally gets to his basically what's called a checklist, he calls it, of how to set it up. That's how most of my synopsises in the past have been. And if I do it that way, it's good. But doing it the way he talked about throughout the first half of the book, I was just like, I've got 4 different synopsises and they all look like crap to me. So, yeah.
The way he discussed it was a little bit different than what I'm used to as well. But I have to say that when I've written a synopsis before, I generally would write one and then I would present it to some people and be like, help.
Yeah.
This isn't any good. Help me make this better. Help me make this something that people actually want to read, please.
It's really bad because I had every intention of going through and doing all the exercises in the book and then posting my synopsis to the what's the group name? Indie Cover Project?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right, but I think that's it. I never did it. I read the whole book. However, I stopped doing the exercises about halfway through just to finish the book before the stream last week. And then even after the stream was rescheduled, I never went back through and did the rest of the exercises because I'm not that smart. And I feel like that's something, especially in this case, I feel like I need to go back through and do the rest of the exercises. Excuse me for 1 second. I'm going to go shut the birds up because they've decided that now's the time to start making noise.
They're very excited. All right. So I guess while we're waiting, I'm going to try to type this thing up, and then I'll be able to share it on the stream, and we can discuss what I did wrong, what I did right, what you guys like about it, what you don't. And, hopefully by the end of it, I'll have a synopsis that's not terrible. Maybe.
There we go. The dragon's up and running around. The birds are being noisy. Oh my goodness. The cat keeps grabbing my hand.
Oh.
He's in play mode.
Well, of course. You're absolutely busy, so
of course
that means play mode is in session.
Yeah.
So like I was telling the stream, I'm trying to type this up real quick so that we can look at it together.
Okay.
And then we could talk about what I hopefully did right and what I definitely did wrong.
Yeah. As we were both just saying a few minutes ago, the way he discussed how to do a synopsis is completely different than the way I usually do them. Because, so I'm the type of person, I've always had a synopsis before I start writing, usually. And I'm one of those people, most people are like, I hate writing synopsis. And I'm like, I actually don't mind them that much. They don't bother me. Don't know why. Until I started reading this book and was having to do those exercises, and I was like, oh man, this is actually a lot harder doing it this way. Because I've discovered that the way I usually do them is closer to the way he mentions at the end of the book with his little checklist. And I mean, look at the step-by-step system he talked about. That's how I've done my synopsises in the past when I've done them on my own, or at least closer to that. And the way he was walking us throughout the first half of the book was just a completely different method, and it was really awkward for me to work that way. If that makes any sense.
Well, yeah, because it was definitely it was different. I think it was because it was kind of a step by step approach, whereas that last chapter was more like all the steps are here, and it felt way more intuitive.
Yeah.
The book itself, you guys, in case you haven't read it, it's it was like what 90 pages or something.
It was fairly short. It only took me like, when I was doing the exercises, I think it took me about an hour to read the first half of the book while doing the exercise, and it only took me like 30 minutes to read the rest of the book when I stopped doing the exercises. So it's not a long book.
Yeah, it's very, very short. And at the end of each chapter, Brian writes a rundown of the things that you should have learned from that chapter and gives you an exercise to do. And then I think a bonus exercise as well. And I didn't do any of the bonus exercises, but I did do the regular exercises, or at least I tried to. I think that there was a couple that I kind of was like, well, I think I did that already. So
I hadn't even gotten to the chapters where the bonus exercises started appearing, because they weren't, I don't remember there being bonus exercises in the first couple of chapters. I could be wrong. Exercise 1, because I did the first 5 exercises. That's what I have written down in my notebook, and I was doing those by hand.
Yeah,
so I'll have to type stuff up in a minute too, because I'm not prepared.
We are awesome.
We're so ready for this.
I know.
We postponed and we're still ready for this. It's just, yeah.
We're good. We're so good.
There's also, let me see if I can find it. I have to find it. So I didn't think about this. To give you the link ahead of time. I completely forgot that one of the speakers, so I went to the 20 Books Vegas 2018 conference last year in November, and I completely forgot that Brian Cohen was one of the speakers at the Vegas thing. And I'm trying to see if one of the live streams that was posted to YouTube was the talk that he did. I thought it was, but I'm not finding it, so maybe I'm wrong.
He's pretty big in that group, so I would have thought that they would have recorded him.
There it is. Okay, so it was him and Chris Fox. That's why I couldn't find it, because it's Chris Fox's name is first. Okay, so he did speak. Let me give you the link to that, if it'll let me.
Heck yeah.
No, I don't want to remove it. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself real quick so it doesn't automatically, so you don't hear it automatically start playing. Okay. Let me grab that link.
Sounds good. Let's see. What are you guys saying here in the chat? Hey, Sarah. Yeah, I found the book really helpful, Dana. Let me see. Do I have a link to it? Yeah. So there is a link in the description. So if you do want to pick up a copy, it's there. And is it in Kindle Unlimited? I can't remember. But it was a fairly cheap book. It was under like $5. So
It was.
yeah, it was a cheap book. It was short, but it was one of those books that was short, but like packed with some good information.
Okay, I'm posting in the comments the link to that YouTube video of the live stream. And what they did is they didn't talk about how to write a synopsis. What they did is they looked at various books that already had synopsises, and they were talking about the cover and the synopsis and what they would change to make it better and how they would improve it. So I thought that was really cool. And I don't know why I didn't think of sending you that link before, so we could have all watched it before we did this stream. Oh, we're so prepared for this.
We are doing great.
We're
doing
awesome.
Great.
We're doing awesome.
Great. We're here.
Man.
Hey, Rita. Glad you could make it. Yeah, unfortunately, Alina and Amber had family emergencies, and CJ has a recital that she has to go to. So y'all are just stuck with us this week.
Sorry.
We'll all make the best of it.
So what did you think of the book overall? Because I thoroughly enjoyed it, honestly. Considering how often people tell me they hate writing synopsises and blurbs and all that fun jazz, I really liked the way that his book was a little, I'm trying to figure out a good way to put it. Down to earth is the closest I can get to it. I can't word today. And how easy it was to understand what he was trying to get across.
Yeah, I like that too. His instructions were very plainly spoken. He was not speaking above your head, and all of it was practical and actionable, which I really appreciate, especially in a book that's kind of like a tutorial rather than entertainment, you know?
Yeah.
So I really appreciate the way you wrote it, and it was nice to be able to finish the book in an evening and then be able to go back and like read over a couple of things if it didn't make sense, and it still wouldn't take a lot of time, because sometimes you just don't have the time, which I'm sure you absolutely understand.
Oh yeah. One of the other things I liked about it was his examples. Not only in each chapter did he show different examples of exactly what he was talking about in that chapter. If you go to the appendices, there are the full synopsises of some of those examples throughout the book, and then he gives a couple other full-length examples of synopsises that were not presented in the book. And it was really interesting to see how they tied up their the little bits that were sprinkled throughout the book. It was interesting to see the whole synopsis at the end and see how everything pulled together.
I didn't read the appendix.
Oh, you missed the appendix?
I didn't read it. Oh no! Because normally the appendix isn't that helpful.
That's literally all it was a bunch of different synopses. It's the title of the book, the title and author of the book, and then the synopsis for that book. And then there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 synopsises from different genres, which I thought was really cool.
Joy.
That's all that's in the appendix. It's literally just synopsis.
Missed opportunity. That's okay. I'll read it afterwards.
But I thought that was really cool because it showed you how they pulled it. It showed how they pulled everything he talked about throughout the book, and how each one was different, but still conveyed their genre and drew the readers in.
yeah, all of the tips that he gave were absolutely they weren't genre specific, and he even spoke about different genres and how you could kind of address some of the things that he talked about, which I found helpful. Since both of us write very different genres, but I'm glad that it was a book that could help both of us.
Yeah. What I thought was really cool was his example with the children's book uh, about the dog meeting the chickens. Uh, when I first read that sentence lead, I guess it would be called, synopsis lead, it was supposed to be like the beginning portion of the synopsis or the hook that he was talking about when he was talking about that book.
Yeah.
I honestly had no clue that the characters were a dog and a bunch of chickens. I was so lost with that sentence, and then he went on to describe what he was talking about, and I was like, "Oh, that makes perfect sense." Thank you for showing us an example of children's stuff, because I have no idea what I'm doing there.
Yeah, not at all.
So,
so I've typed up this thing. Do we want to do this?
sure. Don't know how good I'm going to be at this. Because, as you just said, we write very different genres.
Yes. I write cozy mystery in case anyone is unaware. So yeah, this is going to be different. Well, let's do it. All right, let me figure out how to share the screen. Screen share.
I don't know how to do that, so.
On the left side, there's a button that kind of looks like little pages.
Oh, I see it now. Okay. I've never
click.
noticed that before with Hangouts. That's good to know.
All right, so are you able to see my screen?
I am.
All right, so I'll read it out loud,
Okay.
which feels awkward, but that was one of the things that he said that you should do in the book. You should read the thing out loud. Should I read it all and then we'll look at it?
Sure.
Okay. So awkward, but all right. Whoa, what is that sound? Something is very loud.
I don't hear anything, but okay.
All right. Issa loved two things above all else, her family and books. When her aunt asked her to move back home to help keep the bookstore afloat, Issa dropped everything to help. Ooh. Little did she know that an innocent girl's night out will lead to the town bully's murder behind the bowling alley. Issa's pushed past her stewing resentment against her high school sweetheart to help clear his name. Between a new kitty, a struggling bookstore, and a whiskey-swilling aunt who rules the town with an iron fist and a tarot deck, Issa doesn't know which way is up. The more she looks into Whisper Valley's secrets, the more entangled they become. Can she untangle the web of lies, or will she strike out? Okay, just go ahead and fix that right there. Murder to Spare is book one in the Mystic Eye Bookshop Cozy Mystery Series. Join Issa on her adventure solving crimes in her hometown, and making her little part of the world a better place. Download your copy today. So I did not read this out loud before I did this, because if I would have caught that in the first paragraph there's help and then help again. Which I hate.
Yeah. The only other thing I noticed, because it actually sounds really good, the only other thing I noticed is the mention of the girls' night out after moving back home to keep the bookstore afloat kind of is a little jarring, just because of the fact that they're two separate events. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Let's see. How could I make that smoother? A smoother transition.
Her
aunt asked her to help. Asked her to.
Oh, what if we switched part of your third paragraph? Because she drops everything to help between a new kitty, a struggling bookstore, and a whiskey-swilling aunt who rules the town with an iron fist and a tarot deck.
So do you think I should put that up here on the second?
Let's try that real quick and see what it looks like.
Okay.
Because we can always move it back. Let's see. It's pronounced Issa, right?
Yes.
Okay. Issa loved two things above all else, her family and books. When her aunt asked her to move back home to help with the bookstore, keep the bookstore afloat, Issa dropped. Okay, the tense between in that sentence is weird too, because it says when her aunt asked her to move, and then it says dropped.
All right.
Asked her to move back home.
Here's a question, and anyone, should a synopsis be in past or in like present tense?
That is a very good question. Let me look at the examples that they give in the appendix.
Like, maybe I would have learned it if I would have read it. Oh.
All these seem to be in present. No, that one's not. Okay, give me a second. Most of them seem to be in present tense, but it looks like a couple are in past tense.
So maybe it'll be fine to have it in past then. So.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a problem. Okay. Love saying when her aunt asked her to move back home to help keep the bookstore afloat, Issa dropped everything to help. Dropped everything to I'm trying to think of a way to word that. Asked her to move back home to help keep the bookstore afloat. So maybe Issa didn't hesitate.
Issa didn't hesitate. Issa ran like the wind.
When her aunt asked her to move back to help keep the bookstore afloat, Issa didn't hesitate.
Maybe I should make this one sentence. Is that too much?
That should be a comma. Didn't hesitate to return to her hometown. Maybe. When her aunt asked her to move back to help keep the bookstore afloat, Issa didn't hesitate to return to her hometown. Between a new kitty, a struggling bookstore, and a whiskey-swilling aunt who rules the town with an iron fist and a tarot deck, Issa doesn't know which side is up. Little did she know that an innocent girl's night out would lead to the town's bully murder behind the bowling alley. Issa is pushed past her stewing resent against her high school sweetheart to help clear his name. Resentment. The more she looks into Whisper Valley's secrets, the more entangled they become. Can she untangle the web of lies, or will she strike out? The tense switches there between, because you use in the third and fourth paragraph you use present.
Oh crap!
And then in the first two you use past. I think that's correct. Is pushed. Yeah, Issa is pushed. Okay, that's. I actually like the way that sounds. I keep trying to scroll up to read the whole thing again, and I can't. I realize I can't. You're sharing your screen, not mine.
Here, I'll scroll up to the top.
Oh.
Could you look over in the comments to see what people are saying, if they have any suggestions? Because if I do, then it'll like move off of here.
Okay. I don't see any.
Okay.
The last comment is from you. If you have any suggestions, people in the comments, that's what today's topic is. Basically, we're discussing the book, but we're also utilizing the book and trying to rework some synopsises.
So one thing that he mentioned that I think is pretty important, even regardless of what your genre is concentrating on one or two events instead of putting everything in the synopsis, because then it's too confusing. And so he talks a lot about simplification and not necessarily mentioning all the characters or even all of the important characters, unless, of course, it's like multiple points of view. So you need to mention more than one. So that's why I've only mentioned Issa by her first name, because the book is through her point of view. So it seems to make sense to just talk through her. Even though I mentioned a few other characters, I try to keep it down to a minimum.
Yeah, and I think if I'm remembering correctly, his book talked about the fact that if you write romance, you want to mention both your love interests names, but with every other genre, just one or two characters, unless they play a major part. And then even some of the example synopsises that he put in the appendix had no character names mentioned, which I found really interesting. That happens a lot with a lot of the fantasy books I read. It'll be talking about the kingdom, and maybe one character name will be mentioned, but most of the time with synopses I read for fantasy that deal with a lot of characters, they don't mention names at all.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Like, let me see if I can pull up an example of that. I'm also trying to figure out what else we could do to... I really like that, what you got for a synopsis, actually. I don't have a lot of experience with cozy mysteries. I've read a couple, but I haven't read enough. I really wish Claire was in the comment section. She would know.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we can do that. We can pull up. Claire seems to do really well with her sales and stuff, and people obviously love her books when they read them. So instead of pulling up a fantasy book, I'm going to pull up one of Claire's and see what her synopsises are like.
Okay. How
or
about
use her as a basis.
How about this is weird when I look at the regular screen. Okay, I'm going to stop presenting.
Okay.
And then you can present and we can look at one of her synopsises that you pull up.
Okay.
And let us know, you guys, in the comments if you have any suggestions, if there's anything that you're curious about, if there's any questions you'd like us to answer in regards to this book, so that we can have a conversation together. Kata says, I like when the synopsis has enough mystery in it that it hooks me in. It's like the bait. Exactly. It's definitely like the bait. He was talking about that in terms of making sure that at the end of your synopsis, there's some type of hook to bring the reader in. And, if like you've written the reader's kind of book, then they'll be interested in coming in and figuring out what's going on and reading more of it. Oh, excuse me.
Come on. Thank you. All right. So I have pulled up the first book in the Charlie Davis Mysteries by Claire Kotzer. There's 9 books in this series. It's got 68 customer reviews, so it does really well. Something is drawing her customers in. And she writes cozy... Well, yeah, these are cozy mysteries. These are comedic mysteries.
Yeah, they're cozies.
Okay, they are considered cozies. Okay. So this one says, Charlie Davis has never solved a murder before or committed one, although it might have crossed her mind, especially when it comes to James Mackenzie. When rich boy James is accused of killing his billionaire uncle, he bets Charlie 20 grand that she can't find the real culprit, and she simply can't resist. The money, that is. She has no trouble resisting him, no matter how symmetrical his stupid face is. What James doesn't know is that Charlie has an advantage. She's just begun working at a private investigation company. Okay, so she's the receptionist, but it's a start, right? What Charlie doesn't know is, well, a lot. But she'd better learn fast or James will win the bet. As Charlie investigates, things get more and more dangerous. She needs to find the murderers soon, or it won't just be her money and reputation on the line. She might lose her head. A hilarious sleuthing series for anyone who loves to laugh out loud on their crime-solving adventures. If you enjoy chick-lit murder mysteries with a snarky... How is that word pronounced? Is it heroine? Heroine?
Yeah, heroine.
Okay, heroine. Give Charlie Davis a try. I never know, and I always, yeah.
She has there contains some swearing. I've never noticed that before. But that makes sense because traditionally in a cozy, there's not a lot of swearing. And what works with this synopsis is that sounds like Charlie's voice. I've read several books of the series, and they're freaking great. And Charlie has a very like kind of snarky voice in her character, and it reads just like her voice. But I think it's also, is it written in the first person? I feel like it is.
I don't know. I bought it in March, but I haven't read it yet.
The story of my life. Hence this stream.
I mean, we could do an entire stream someday in the future about how many books we've bought versus how many we've actually read. And I'm pretty certain mine will be somewhere up in the bought 500 worth just on my ebook, and maybe read 100 worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely dangerous. So dangerous. But yeah, that's really good. Dang.
I agree with you that that some of the synopsis, because you brought up a good point about the fact that it sounds like Charlie's voice. Excuse me. And when I think about it, a lot of the synopsises I remember reading for books I have read, the synopsises did read like the voice of the character, whichever character they were talking about, the main character. Now, you said you've read some of these books, right?
Yeah.
So, is it just Charlie who's the main character, or is this one of those that alternates between Charlie and James?
Charlie is just the main character.
Okay. I was curious about that because it alternates between talking about stuff with James. This synopsis does go. It works in this one's favor, but I remember that Brian mentioned that you only want to name your main characters instead of following a lot of characters, and so I was curious if he was one of the main characters we flip-flop between.
Yeah, it's just Charlie's point of view, but James is there a lot. He figures very prominently in the series.
Okay. Interesting.
Hi, Grape Fry. Thanks for joining us. We are talking about How to Write a Sizzling Synopsis by Brian Cohen. And at the moment, we are looking at one of the synopsises from Claire Cotter, who is a fellow cozy writer and part of our AuthorTube tribe. So thank you so much for joining us. Have a seat. And if you have any questions, suggestions, we are also, I just showed my synopsis and we were talking about it and trying to make it sound like it sucked a little bit less. And I think that it's a little better. I'm definitely going to go back over it and try to make it sound more like Issa's voice. I think that's what's bothering me about it. It's the voice sounds very generic to me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my problem. And I want it to pop more. Pop.
Yeah.
But at least now I think it has like a decent foundation to build from. And you helped me figure out my tense problems. How embarrassing!
It's all good. One of the things that I did notice, and it was not talked about in Brian's book, but I've noticed. Actually, it might have been touched upon. I honestly don't remember this point. Is the fact that no matter if a book is written in, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing.
Okay.
Um,
There you are.
Yay! No matter if a book is written in first person, third person, second person, which I have seen before, believe it or not. It's interesting that synopsises always seem to be in third person. They might have a small snippet in first person, but the main portion of the synopsis that's meant to draw you in is third person.
You know what? I hadn't noticed that before. And
I think that's really interesting.
That is interesting. I wonder why that is. I'm looking over here at my bookshelf, and I'm just gonna grab the. I have 3 books nearby.
You see if they're in first person or third person?
Yeah.
Because that seems to be a prominent thing with urban fantasy right now. Most urban fantasies that I pick up, they're in first person. But when I look at their blurbs are in third. Like I said, they might have like a 1 or 2 sentence that's like a quote from one of the characters, and that will be in first person, but the rest of the main synopsis will be in third.
This doesn't have the actual blurb on the back. It's all reviews, which I'm sure that some readers enjoy, but I really find that annoying. I'm more interested in what the book's about rather than what the New York Times felt about it.
I read a lot. I read most of my stuff on e-reader, so I'm going to just pull up 3 random books. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna look. Let me look through my red.
So this is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, and it is definitely in third person.
Okay.
And this is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, third person.
And both of those are written in first person, aren't they?
Let's see. I can't remember. I think The Night Circus is third person.
Okay.
But what about Court of Thorns and Roses? This is first person. So far with this anecdotal evidence, it checks out. Also, I need to dust my bookshelf. Those are really dusty. I had Harlequin on top of them.
Oh, I love Harlequin.
Me too.
I can't show you my collection of Harlequin because it's in my living room, and I'm in the kitchen. But I have a whole collection of Harlequin figurines.
And also a Cylon.
Nice.
Because that's the kind of household we have here.
We're not nerds, not at all. Never.
Literally a map of Mordor.
I have the Skyrim map in my living room.
Nice. Hi, Heather. Thanks for joining us. Let's see. Did you have a synopsis that you wanted to type up? Or
let me do that real quick.
Okay. So
what about everyone in the comments section? Has anyone got a synopsis they're working on that they'd like to share?
Oh, that's an excellent idea. Do y'all let us know? Or is there something that you are running across, a problem that you're running across with your synopsis that you need help with? Tell us. Because again, there's just the 2 of us today, so your interaction is super important.
And let us know if you've read this book and your thoughts on it. I found it super helpful.
Thanks, Grape Fry.
I'm waiting for a program that can write into open.
Yeah, I didn't see, none of your comments popped up before, so I'm glad that you were able to move to a different platform so that we could see them. You're so great. You're always around. I appreciate you being here. Heather, what genre do you write in? do you guys want to share the genres that you write in the comments? Or any of you writing synopsis right now, or thinking about revising some that you've already written? I think the one thing that I find really awesome about being a self-pub author is that we can revise and change things at will. So,
I love that.
yeah, it's really nice, especially if you're like me and you are kind of still new in your journey. I only have a couple books published at this point. And so as I'm learning things and growing, I can go back and change things as need be. Sarah's not currently working on any. Right on. Like, yeah, I really suggest that you guys pick up a copy of the Sizzling Synopsis. I think that it's really helpful. And I am planning on releasing this book in the next few weeks. So what I'm thinking about doing is taking the synopsis that I have, running past a couple more people after I've tried to amp it up a bit, and then putting it on pre-order so that I am forced to ship it off to my editor and finish it, because I feel like I have been working on it for years. I froze. Oh no, am I still frozen?
No, I can see and hear you.
Heather writes fantasy, specifically YA/new adult. You know, no one talks about new adult anymore. For a minute, like, new adult was the hot thing, remember?
Technically, my books fall under the new adult section for the most part. The trilogy I'm currently working on is adult, but like the first series I ever worked on, the first 2 books I published before the publishing house closed, they're actually new adult. So technically that's what I write a lot of times, because I prefer that age of character. I prefer the young age character that are like the college, upper high school, college years. And that seems to be what new adult is. It's like young adult with college age kids. That sounds weird, but yes, that.
Yeah, pretty much. So that you're able to address some of the more adult aspects of life, I guess.
Yeah.
Like with Sarah J. Maas, you know, she definitely has the sexy times in her books, and I don't know if that really flies if you're writing YA, or at least being descriptive with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Alright, let me make this window a little bigger. And I'm going to increase my font size too. Just to make it a little easier to read. Boom. Alright. Before I share mine, how many words was your synopsis? Because it wasn't talked about a lot, but he did mention in Sizzling Synopsis that most synopsises that weren't like over wordy were somewhere between like 200 and 300 words long, and mine's less than 100.
Mine is 165.
165.
But I think that once I kind of amp it up a bit, it'll probably be around 200.
Yeah, I think if I amp mine up, it'll be more as well, but I don't know. Is it sharing? Oh, it did. Okay, cool. All right, so this is for Damned and Dangerous, which is a paranormal romance. I'll go ahead and read it real quick. Seeing ghosts and telling loved ones about their dead doesn't pay the bills. If Sorsha doesn't want to return home, she'll need to find a roommate. Fast. Life has become monotonous for Lars, so living with a medium might just be the change he's looking for. But Sorsha is not a medium, and their being together plunges them both into the world of the supernatural. One of them knew nothing of, and the already saw a problem, and the other's been avoiding to remain alive. That wow, the heck.
I'm telling you, reading it out loud is like clutch, you guys. As you're seeing, it's very, very key.
There we go. One knew nothing of, and the others avoided to remain alive. There we go. Cool. That's all I've got. But like I said, I didn't finish the exercises, so yeah.
So let's see. So she's not a medium?
No. It's weird. Oh, is it still sharing that? No, of course not. Okay, hold on.
I think you closed it.
I didn't close it. I just moved it so I could see the comment section. It didn't work the way I wanted it to. Okay, cool. Now I can see it. There. Let's see.
Let's see. Well, one thing that's missing that he mentions in later chapters, so you probably didn't do that exercise yet, was having the last paragraph as kind of a call to action to tell people to basically to buy it.
Yeah.
So that was one of like the later exercises.
Okay, yeah.
So, but you'll get to that. I found it a little confusing that he's looking for a medium and then immediately says that she's not a medium.
Okay.
That like jarred me. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that first graph, like it, because it sets up what's going on with her pretty well, and I feel like I could hear what her character sounds like.
Okay.
But that's just making an assumption. Maybe I'm absolutely wrong. This doesn't sound like her at all. But at least it sounds like a character.
It doesn't sound generic and yeah. Okay.
So we know her stakes.
Yeah. Okay. I gotta play around with this some more. I don't even know where to begin playing around with it to fix. I understand what you're saying. I'm just trying to figure out how to fix that. Hmm.
Who has been avoiding the supernatural? He has? Or has she?
She. Sort of. The way the sentence, okay, I see what you're saying. She's been avoiding it. Okay. There we go. That'll fix that a little bit.
Maybe she's not your average medium.
Thank you. I was trying to word that in a way. But Sorsha is not an average medium, and their being together plunges them both into the world of supernatural. One of them knew little of, and the others avoided to remain alive. That's better, but that's a really long sentence.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Is there a way for you to break it up?
That's what I'm trying to do now. I'm going to end it after the world is supernatural and figure out what to do with that last portion of the sentence to break it up a little bit.
what's at stake? Is there something that they're going to be fighting, or something that's, I don't know, like, could they possibly be drawn into the supernatural world and not escape?
Mm. There is, I don't want to call it a mystery because it's not really a mystery. This is why I don't do mysteries. This right here.
Mysteries are fun.
One of the spirit ghosts she talks to. One of the things that has to happen is she's got to find who their killer is. So there's a little bit of a mystery, except for the clues are pointed out right away, which is why I don't call it a mystery. They just have to track them down, kind of thing.
Right.
But I was trying to keep it short, and what you mentioned earlier and what he mentions in his book about not putting in all the details, kind of thing. So I thought that mentioning that would be too much. Does that make sense?
I think that it could be okay because you haven't gone into a lot of detail. So I think that if you added a little bit, that would be decent for the reader, you know?
Okay. Let me play around and do something completely different here.
Okay.
So
I'm going to hit up the comments real quick. Heather fixed your problem. Excellent. Yeah, you definitely, Dana, I do that too. I listen to my books. I play them on Natural Reader if I'm using Word on my laptop. And then I have the program that I talked about in a video that I listen to on my tablet. Because you're right, your ears will just pick up things. And I wish that I would have read it out loud beforehand. But on the other hand, that was a good learning experience. I'm glad that you're finding this helpful, or at least that it could be helpful to someone, Dana, because I know that a lot of times we talk about writing and we don't really show what's happening behind the veil, so to speak. So hopefully this will be helpful to you guys and whoever watches this later.
Oh, this is passive tense and I don't like it.
That's okay. You have to have somewhere to. You have to have.
It gives me where a place to start. Yeah. Dang.
Is there something at stake?
Source's life. What she is could get her killed. The fact that she's not just a medium. Shit. Sorry, crap. Not my channel. Keep forgetting that.
That was hilarious.
I think I'm gonna have to just play around with this some more. I know what I want to think. I know what I want to say, but not how to word it, and that's what's killing me. I gotta figure out more. See, I'm in the middle of rewrites right now, which is part of the problem, honestly, because some of the stuff has changed based on some edits I have to do, and that's not helping either. So I think I need to sit down and think about exactly what you just said. What's at stake, and how to word it in this synopsis. Because in this world, mediums can only speak to spirits, whereas what Sorsha is what's known as a phantom, and they can physically interact with spirits. But not only that, they can see the spirits of those killed by supernatural entities and command them to make them do their bidding, which is what makes her. She is what's considered dangerous, and because of that, supernaturals are like, you gotta die. So what's at stake is her life.
Oh,
and I'm trying to figure out how to word that in a way
that doesn't give away everything.
Yeah,
I getcha. Well, I think this too is a lesson that sometimes you have to come back to it.
Yeah.
And also, it is a little awkward to be trying to do it online, like live streaming.
Yeah.
That's some pressure.
Yeah.
But I think that you have a decent start.
And I at least know what to look at in the future. I know what's at stake, but I need to figure out a way to word it so it doesn't give everything away, because that is one of the advices, not to give everything away. Yes, I agree with Great Fry. She needs to be discreet. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing because I've got some bases. Let me write those in my notes real quick, actually.
Fantastic. Ooh, this was helpful. Yay! And I'm excited. I'm ready to read about Sorsha. Like, what's up? And I like her name.
I did not totally steal that from Willow.
Awesome.
Okay, there you go. Gave myself a note to look at. Ha! Did it stop sharing? Yay, I'm back! Woo!
Perfect.
Yes, back cover synopsis, what gets posted on like the ebook page, what you see on Amazon when you're trying to buy a book, whether it's on an ebook page or the back of a paperback.
Yep. And as he explained in the book, your synopsis can be used, the same one can be used for the ebook, so like on Kindle or Barnes & Noble or whatever, and on the back of your book. It can be the same thing. You don't have to revise it and change it to go for different platforms.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel like this, so there was a little less talking than usual because there was a few people missing. I think that this was a really helpful stream. It helps me out a lot.
Same.
And I hope that you guys found this helpful as well. I really appreciate you taking time out of your Saturday to be here with us. So, Sky, do you want to tell them where they can find you and give any last thoughts?
Last thoughts, real quick. I'm going to, if you haven't read this book and you are working on synopsis, I do highly recommend it. It has been helpful. It would be more helpful if I finished the exercises, because I didn't do that. There's also, once you have a working synopsis, I know what I plan to do, and it sounds like you're planning on doing, is going over to the Facebook group Indie Cover Marketplace, which for the most part, from what I've noticed, seems to be for like cover critique, but they do synopsis critique as well, which is what I plan to use them for, because I love my covers too much to change them. I'm just saying. So there's that. As far as where to find me, I write paranormal romance under the name SD Haggis. I have a YouTube channel, a Facebook page, which all my links are at my YouTube channel, and I think you have that in your description.
Yes.
Okay. I do have other platforms, but because I don't use them, I don't like to talk about them. So, I have a Twitter. I don't use it. I have an Instagram. I don't use it. Now, will that change in the future? Hopefully. We'll see.
Future's bright. So I put the link for the Indie Cover Project over here in the comments.
Okay.
And that is the Facebook group that Sky mentioned, and it's pretty helpful. There's like quite a big number of people that's in the group, so there's a good chance that there'll be people around to help you out if you need a cover critique or help with blurbs. So again, my name is Tamara, and this is my channel where I talk about books and writing. I hope that you come back. If you haven't, you should subscribe. We do this chat on a monthly basis. This would have been last week, but I had some mental health issues and I needed to not be in front of a camera. So we'll be doing this again at the end of the month, and that would be the last Saturday of the month, the 29th. And we have not decided on the book yet, but when we do, you guys will be one of the first to know. And the first link there in my description is my Patreon, because I launched a Patreon, and I would love it if you would join my little cozy community there. And again, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you, and we will see you in the next one. Bye everyone.